Hi, Gemini. Happy birthday to you Geminis out there. This is your intuitive tarot and astrology reading for Gemini season and also the month of June. We'll start with love and then we'll make our way to money because Jupiter is finally moving out of your sign, which I'm sure a lot of you will be somewhat happy about. Okay, so love, Knight of Cups. Whether you're partnered, you're not partnered, or just in your relationships in general. Again, Gemini, Sun, Moon, and Rising, whichever one suits you, or is you, I guess. You're being offered an opportunity to deepen your love, your connection. Also, you may be feeling like this is teaching you a different kind of generosity, that Jupiter has been teaching you something really specific about how you've been generous and how that has affected your luck. Giving from a place that sometimes is just about the fact that you can give. And the energy that comes from the giving and being of service and helping or offering opportunities so to others as well, like giving your energy outwardly, right? This is saying that there's a lot of external communication going on at this time. Single, you'll attract, you'll have options, you'll have opportunities, and you have opportunities to recognize this generosity, the way it makes you feel or doesn't, right? What do you notice about what's being shown to you and what you've been learning this past year with Jupiter in your sign? Because Jupiter isn't just luck, it's about learning. It's the teacher. And not that necessarily you've been learning specifically in love, but I'm sure you've been learning throughout the entirety of your life, because your sun will interact with different points in your chart, especially this month. So in love, you are perhaps, especially if you're with someone, you're being shown, okay, even if you're single, I'm sorry to keep saying that, passion, energy, perhaps even romance for those of you who like romance, and just being given energy. You get to decide whether you accept it or not, of course, but you're being given a chance to receive a lot of energy, whether from this person or multiple people. And there's a part of you that may want to reciprocate. It's almost natural. Maybe you don't even think about it. You're just reciprocating in some ways. And for some of you, it'll start to exhaust you and make you realize that sometimes you can sit in the receiving end of things. You are a masculine sign. However, there's masculine and feminine to everyone, whether you're male or female. And it's not about, not that if you make it about competition, it's not about competition, but that's sometimes, reciprocity is important. It's very important. It's important for fulfillment. It's important to understand. But there's a time where what you've been learning and earning, there's rewards. It's learning to harness that learning, that luck, that energy, and allow the right time to come back around. And it's like karma. And so this receptivity is the consequences of what you've been learning and needing to receive. There's a breakthrough, there's fulfillment, there's a deeper understanding of how this is a part of learning to care for yourself, is accepting this receptivity without feeling like on one end, maybe, you've wanted it at some point, maybe desperately in some kind of way, to some capacity, that extreme, and then on another end, realizing you don't want it, you don't need it, it's not something that is required for your love, your attention, your time, right? Anything under the umbrella of love and connection. And now you realize that letting go of these attachments doesn't mean you don't necessarily expect someone to treat you, for some of you, just like you're human, as you are, the most human of us all, but you also allowing it and letting it fuel not just the passion and creativity in the love and the relationship, but in your life, and not feeling like that kind of is the reciprocity. Is it's fueling a part of you, and it can seem selfish, and for some of you it could even feel that way, a selfish that you haven't necessarily have been towards yourself enough, and you're finally doing that, but it's not, it's the fuel that you're receiving, someone not expecting anything in return, but you giving in your own way, naturally. But it's also this, you just wanting to let the cup overfloweth because you're so filled, or you're so fulfilled, or you're becoming more fulfilled with every shift that's you're experiencing, with the vulnerability, with the receptivity, with seeing so clearly, and allowing this to give you the confidence to move forward and speaking about your values, speaking about what's important, speaking, maybe even teaching, maybe even helping people in relationships, because usually what we learn, we're meant to help teach others. And I also find that it's a great reminder, because there's so much that we can learn. Some of us, there's more nuances than others, and that's fine. But we are in a time of nuance, and you know nuance. And now that it's overfloweth, you can direct it somewhere, the chariot, your purpose, that's reparenting yourself, that's caring for yourself, that's creating a future for yourself, that's being guided. This could also be a Cancer in your life for some of you. Absolutely. But this could also be Jupiter entering Cancer, Gemini risings in the 12th house. In the second house. I'm okay, I promise. In the second house, I've released a lot. And if you've been releasing a lot because of this, this is causing emotion, or whether it be laughing or crying, letting it come out, which but allowing it to come out in a way that is healthy, that is helping you move forward, that it also is connecting you to your higher power, to source, to your creation, to speaking, especially because you're the communicator. You're meant to communicate. For Gemini moon, you might start to see how it is that you process, which would be so helpful for other Gemini moons, is learning to process, learning how, for some of you need to move. That's what the Knight of Wands is moving around, creating. That's why you might want to give directly back, but creating is giving back to the world. And the bottom of the deck, oh my God, the bottom of the deck, it's Queen of Pentacles. As you speak your voice, as you share more of your purpose, more of what you value, what you've learned to value, Cancer in the second house for Gemini rising, sorry about that, as your skills, your self-worth, your material possessions, your talents, your own personal resources too, not just material, but the way that you, perhaps if you generate income on your own somewhere. But also, like, the skills and the talents is how you add not only to your daily life, but you add to whatever you do so well and so naturally, and it continues to evolve. And Jupiter moving into that part of your sign, which we'll get more into the second part as well, is there's a lot of abundance. There's a lot to learn in this area, but also accumulate resources too. This may help you, this fulfillment, this abundance, this shift and change, and not that you're not a confident person, but even more confident in what you're doing. And by you teaching yourself, you teaching others, it's fulfilling something. It doesn't have to be like the teaching that you all think about. There's so many ways to teach people things. Social media, Gemini, is your way. So if you're not already on there, hop on. Yeah, so this is just building, and anything that you're releasing is just allowing for this wave to come through in the second house. For Gemini risings, of course, Gemini sun, moon, that could be your experience as well. But you're just securing, because 10 of Cups and Ace of Cups, I mean, this is fulfillment. So even if your mind tries to direct you to the negative, it's letting yourself process, because you're meant to be experiencing these positive emotions right now and allowing them to maybe allow you to release so that you can continue to move through and carve new experiences for yourself at this point. New experiences for your relationship to grow, or for you to meet the right person for you. If you are meeting, if this is a Cancer that you're meeting, or you may solidify things in Cancer season, which is right after this person is very vocal about how you're valuable to them, how they value you as a person, how they value your wisdom, your knowledge, your confidence as well. That's maybe what even pulled them towards you, is this vulnerable, authentic, raw confidence that you have, especially during your season. And there's so much that's been shifting, and that is still shifting right now, that, in some way, shape, or form, it's a layer that you've needed. The mercurial signs as smart and intelligent and witty and a good time, and also, likes to debate, loves information. That can sometimes be such a wall, because you're ruled by Mercury, to allowing for your receptivity, because you know things and you can handle things or whatever. But this is about safety. This relationship is about safety with your emotions with one another. That's the growth maybe that you're seeking now. And that's what this person, or this connection, deeper connection to yourself and your purpose, that relationship is going to allow you to evolve if it's not a person. I do believe there's a person entering your life, or in Kabbalah, this is for money. In Kabbalah, look at that. It is said that even if you're with someone and there's still this connection, maybe you start deeply connecting with the Creator, your higher power, and you're wanting to be with your soulmate, or someone who really aligns with you. They say the soul of your soulmate, whatever word you'd like to use, can enter the person that you're with. If you pray for their certainty, if you, as long as you are, learning and growing with them, not wanting to change them, right? We all have ways in which we're growing, but not wanting to change them, being with that person. And if it just so happens it doesn't work out with that person, the next best person will enter your life. And that's if, you are, even if you're, I guess, if you're not in a healthy relationship, you'll continuously grow into healthier and healthier ones. If that is your experience at this time, you could grow with the same person. Sorry about that. You can grow with the same person, but it could also bring someone new into your life, depending on the person that you are. So I just think that's interesting to share if you're wanting any of that spiritual, mystical knowledge. And we're going to get into your money portion. So all information to work with me one-on-one is below. as well as the extended reading. The extended reading is in the first link below. That's Patreon. That's where we go more in depth to what we've been talking about with love and with money and connecting, being fluid. With that, my website, payment options, scheduling link. I'm on TikTok and Instagram, Venusian Wave for everything. So check it out there. Money, the Ace of Pentacles, Temperance, Queen of Cups, Four of Wands, and the Page of Pentacles. So a new wave of income. There's going to be a full moon for Gemini risings in your 7th house, or sun or moon aspecting perhaps 4 degrees before or after. If the degrees aren't hitting, then it won't hit you as intensely, which is, you know, depending on your natal chart. So check that out. But either way, it's revealing to you this perhaps idea, something that you may be going back and forth for a while, but this emotional security is really helping you get there, which is funny, not funny. But really, I was looking at, you know, your transits for Gemini rising, and as a Taurus rising, you're now going through in a ways what I was going through, but in your own Gemini way, because the transits go into the next houses. And Mars will be entering your 4th house towards middle end of June, and this is about your foundations, which is interesting. This is about you securing your emotional security within your relationships. That's where you're learning it and learning to secure it, but it also allows for money to feel more secure with you as well. And you maybe perhaps have an idea around the full moon that then allows you to acknowledge and solidify any emotions that have you resisting that change. Gemini rising Sagittarius is in the 7th house of one-on-one relationships, partnerships, clients, legal matters. So your foundations need you, your change that's happening needs you to acknowledge it in a way that may feel a little less perhaps mature, but it's in a way that you need. It's you're feeling emotionally secure within your self in a feminine way, which allows for you to receive messages that you need and also to share them. And at first, sharing perhaps your experience. Maybe this is about collecting your own data, your own experience, writing something. Maybe this is about you going into business with someone. Maybe it could be a Sagittarius, right? Either way, there's this development in the relationship that is asking for conversation that is really important and feels almost like there's a gap. Like there's definitely emotional security within this relationship, within your relationship with money, but at the same time, you know, there's this transient nature about it where you can't quite, you know that it comes and goes, and that's something about both of you, Gemini, the axis of Gemini and Sagittarius, that is beautiful. Like you really believe, but it's also about this alignment. So wherever you're aligning with your emotional security and your foundations and your caregivers and how that connects to your one-on-one relationships, how those intimate relationships are addressing what's going on there is allowing you to address your foundations and vice versa. And you being able to acknowledge them for yourself, speak up about them, or how this gives you an idea about communicating and what you want to communicate. And you're feeling less attached to it because you're addressing it. And if it's with this person, addressing it is only allowing you to see clearly, you know, where things need to be worked on, where the shadows are. And if you're going to continue to work with this person or for this company or at this job, what you may need, and you may need to speak up for your needs, and you may feel like the page doing it. You may feel like small, but slowly as you ask, you grow bigger and bigger. Even though you are emotionally secure, it's about still speaking up for it. It's still about holding those boundaries, holding yourself to, especially depending on how complex this programming and this way you've been operating has been, that you may need to have very clear boundaries with yourself. That right now, simple, direct, clear communication is what you need to have. And anyone that's beating around the bush, maybe for a while that worked, that's actually the way you've operated, and now there's that transition and it can feel vulnerable. It can feel a little unstable. It can feel immature, but it's because it's a newer way of solving problems, even though you know how to do it. But for some reason, with the people closest to you, with the intimacy, it's been a little bit more difficult, right? It's been the opposite of what intimate relationships needs to be. There needs to be security, but that layering and that learning and those lessons for some of us are learned in the ways that they're learned, right? Your process is your process, and that's what Sagittarius knows so well. And you may even be able to relate. Maybe there is some kind of conversation or idea formed between the two of you, or between you and your relationship with relationships. This is a month where whatever you let go of allows for a wave of ideas, because what you've learned to value and how you're literally moving through it at this point, especially in your relationships, now show up in what you can hold, what you're capable of, and what you can be responsible for, because there's more clarity around it with you and your higher power, with you in the universe, with you in this energy. And there are a lot of ways where you've been so decisive and so in this energy, like you're so certain that you like change, so you change, but is the change really always necessary, right? What are you not addressing because you think that change? Yeah, you can adapt to the changes, but what's not working? Look for the chaos. Because Gemini season is very chaotic, but you get that, you know that, you can be grounded in that as long as you're grounded in yourself in a way that is you're meeting your needs. And then being in that this season isn't as chaotic. It's just you're seeing yourself outside of yourself through other people. Yeah. And in all ways. And there's this greater discernment that you've developed for that. And yeah, just a lot to air out, Gemini. So we'll get to that in the second part, which will be in the link below. All information to work with me there, and we will see you next time. Happy birthday. Happiest birthday. Happy summer.